General Electric made 23-ton box cabs in very limited quantities between 1939 and 1941. Their 25-ton switcher very quickly superseded it, and that remained in production for many years. Way back in 2015, when I originally played around with super small locomotives, we built some 23-tonners powered by vintage Technic micromotors. This is one of the two. The pair differed in various aspects, but they both barely had room for the motor and battery and did not include any control electronics. We pressed the button on the box to start them and released the button to stop them. The locomotives moved so slowly that we did not need a more sophisticated control scheme. They also pulled 1 or 2 cars max thanks to their low weight and the soft coupling between the micromotor and any axle. Fast forward to 2023, and we can now buy a product broadly known as circuit cubes. I bought the $40, quote, Bluetooth upgrade kit, which comes with a control and power element, 2 tiny motors, and a handful of other Lego compatible parts. The battery box controller has 3 output channels. Each 2x4 motor conveniently has inputs on multiple sides, and these connect with tiny PWM-style cables. The hub charges with good old USB micro, and it also has a 2-pole switch that toggles between a, quote, dumb on mode, which drives the motor continuously, or a, quote, smart Bluetooth mode, which controls the motors through an app. I have not played with the software that much, but I found it easy enough to pair with the controller and figure out a way to throttle the various channels up and down. Of course, we tested the motors with our Prony brake and predicted the torque curve. Despite their substantially smaller size, the Circuit Cube motors actually deliver significantly more power than the Spike Essentials motors. I suspect that the Technic pin connections and the internal encoder take up a ton of space in the latter. Oddly, the output socket on the Circuit Cube motors doesn't quite extend a full stud in depth. I decided to use this new product to rebuild the other old Boxcab and try to improve the overall aesthetics and to remove bad building techniques. Most notably, the sides originally connected with fences used as anti-stud brackets, which sadly still don't exist. I changed those to real brackets and pulled in the walls slightly such that the roof actually overhangs a tiny bit on the sides. I also extended the chassis by a stud in order to add more greebles at the ends and corners. Furthermore, at least part of the body needs to detach easily to activate and charge the hub. Despite this build's already small volume, almost certainly less than that of the CR4, a lot of the space near the sides still gets wasted. The later 25-tonner might be a better fit, but its cab would be more complicated to implement. For the drivetrain, I eventually settled on a 5:3 gear ratio due to the model's lightweight, subsequent low traction, and some degree of convenience. I originally considered a more sedate 1-to-1 gearing, but that setup proved more finicky to implement because I would have to mount the motor vertically. The 180-gram locomotive can pull 50 to 60 grams, at least a few cars, before slipping, and it actually runs pretty fast on its own. The white box cab pulls significantly less, but not because it weighs significantly less. The 212-gram locomotive stalls with about 30 grams of load, not by slipping at the wheels, but at the soft coupling on the micromotor. Both of the old micromotor box cabs used a weird gearing due to the weird geometry of the motor itself, where the drive shaft comes out of the top instead of the side. Interestingly, it seems like the revised box cab should be able to pull the older one, but in practice it does not work. It apparently takes more force to slip the soft coupling by backdriving the wheels. Finally, I am also going to post free instructions for this model on the Rebrickable soon TM. On that note, this is the end of the video. Please consider subscribing if you like what we do, and have a nice day.